Back to our studies in Ecclesiastes, we know already from chapter 1 that if life here on earth is all you have, God being ruled out, the reality is vanity and a chasing after the wind. Solomon is preaching, it might be said. His sermon is to any who will read and learn and change. The message is, if life here on earth is all you have, without God, that existence here under the sun is vanity of vanities. Solomon, through his own misbehavior, learned that self-indulgence is striving after wind. There's nothing to be gained by it. We're going to let Solomon tell his own story now in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. I said in my heart, "Come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself." But behold, this also was vanity. I said, of laughter, "It is mad," and of pleasure, "What use is it?" I searched with my heart how to cheer my body with wine, my heart still guiding me with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was good for the children of man to do under heaven during the few days of their life. I made great works. I built houses and planted vineyards for myself. I made myself gardens and parks and planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. I made myself pools from which to water the forest of growing trees. I bought male and female slaves and had slaves who were born in my house. I had also great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had been before me in Jerusalem. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings and provinces. I got singers, both men and women, and many concubines, the delight of the sons of man. So I became great and surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me, and whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil. Then I considered all that my hands had done, and the toil I had expended in doing it, and behold, all was vanity and a striving after wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. Here is something that happens over and over, that people come to a place in life where they perceive that now every possible pleasure the world offers must be tried. So there is this reckless journey into self-indulgence, where no lasting satisfaction is found, just time and money wasted, relationships broken, and perhaps lessons learned the hard way. This sometimes happens when children leave home, like the prodigal son. Now, without the restraint of parental authority, reckless living is pursued. A young man or woman goes off to college, or they leave home for a job. A teenager leaves home for the military, and the ambition quickly finds expression. Now I can do all the things my parents wouldn't let me do. I can do all sorts of things that my peers are doing that my parents prohibited. So there is this reckless journey into self-indulgence where no lasting satisfaction is found, just time and money wasted, relationships broken, and perhaps lessons learned the hard way. Solomon is telling his readers, that's exactly what I did. I knew better. I realize now how foolish this was, but I embarked on this journey into pleasure. I tried everything a man could indulge in. I surrounded myself with what the world offers, like The Son, the Wanderer, with the lead vocal by Johnny Cash. I went out there in search of experience, to taste and to touch and to feel as much as a man can before he repents. Solomon's conclusion, behold, all was vanity. Let's look back into this report of his experiment and observe some strong clues. Number one, right off the page, perhaps at first glance, we see something that speaks clearly. The pronouns tell much of the story. I, my, myself. I have the English Standard Version, and in 11 verses, 16 times, there is the personal pronoun I. Every sentence has I or me or myself in it. The lesson is, these trips that people take into self-indulgence are intensely self-centered. Not to serve others in a good way, certainly not to glorify God, not to make you a better person. Ultimately, it is the pursuit of unmitigated indulgence and pleasure under the sun, and therefore is vanity. Secondly, let us understand Solomon is not writing as a detached commentator or a journalistic witness. He did this. Personal pronouns, past tense. Solomon says, this is what I did. He set out to do it with purpose. He applied himself to the experiment. He used people. He did this. He went over here and did that, and then tried this, and he concluded there was nothing to be gained under the sun. A striving after wind. Third, there was nothing in this hedonistic lifestyle that honored God. I think people who live this way have to admit that, and many will. Ask the person who is drunk, did you honor God in that episode? They will almost always, with or without shame, admit they didn't honor God through that behavior. The man who brags of all the women he has had will generally not claim that those relationships honored the Creator. There's nothing in this hedonistic lifestyle that glorifies God, that honors the Maker, that is an expression of being a disciple of Christ. Fourth, this clarification is needed. Not everything Solomon did is inherently sinful. There's nothing inherently wrong with laughter, legitimately based. Nothing wrong with planting a garden or enjoying good music. But when these activities are combined with ungodly pursuits and become the purpose of your existence, to indulge your appetites, leaving God out, you set yourself up for vanity and a striving after wind. I have some other observations to make about Ecclesiastes chapter 2, 1 through 11. The argument may be made about this famous Old Testament passage that these projects and pursuits were so large, so expensive, that only a few people could ever attempt this today on this scale. Well, there's some truth in that. Solomon had resources none of us have. He had wealth and access to people and nations and servants we do not have and will likely never have. This was like building a second Garden of Eden. Derek Kidner says he creates a little world within a world, multiform, harmonious, exquisite, a secular Garden of Eden full of civilized and agreeably uncivilized delights with no forbidden fruits. Notice that almost everything here occurs in the plural: houses, vineyards, gardens, parks, trees, pools, songs, women, servants, silver and gold. We may read this, and there may be some temptation to say to ourselves, this isn't about me. Not in any way. I could never build this kind of hedonistic world. Understood. But we may try on a smaller scale. We may seek purpose in indulgence to our ruin. We don't have Solomon's resources, but if we are not well disciplined spiritually, we may discover we have Solomon's appetite to some extent. Might not be able to fulfill it the way he did, but that element of human appetite and self-indulgence is still here. And we actually have some things Solomon didn't have. We live in modern homes with climate control. We can listen to a much greater variety of music. We have methods of transportation and communication unknown in Solomon's time. As far as sex is concerned, the internet offers an endless, instant supply of virtual partners. So like Solomon, we have ample opportunity to indulge ourselves and try to find our purpose in self-indulgence. But we are able to read this in the Bible and know it will not work. It will not be ultimately fulfilling. Leave God out. And there is this dramatic result of vanity, of striving after wind. We are always, when we study this, struck by the statement in verse 3. I searched with my heart how to cheer my body with wine, my heart still guiding me with wisdom. Historically, here's what students and scholars have inquired about this statement. How is it that you intoxicate yourself while claiming you're being guided by wisdom? It sounds contradictory to all we know about intoxication, and much of what we know about that from the Bible is what Solomon wrote in Proverbs. How do you intoxicate yourself while retaining wisdom? Well, my answer is not authoritative, and you may have an answer that convinces me I'm wrong, but here's what occurs to me. Though you make the wrong choice to cheer your body and perhaps intoxicate your mind, you still know it's wrong. And you still know you can stop, sober up, and repent. I've said some very strong things over 53 years about intoxication, mostly from the book of Proverbs, chapter 20 and chapter 23. But we need to be certain we don't leave the impression that once you start drinking, you've lost your mind forever and you can't repent. You can stop and you can repent. You have that much wisdom that you retain. Solomon experimented with wine, but his brains didn't fall out. There was a raw intelligence quite impressive that he still had after the hangover. He could repent. He could stop this behavior. Let's look at verse 10. And whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil. This shows something that will absolutely kill you. An absence of restraint. Sometimes the word is used abandon, meaning no limits, no boundaries, no hesitation. If you see it, you take it. If you hear about it, you do it. If someone says, let's do this, you go along. That's just a miserable way to live, and it will kill you, certainly spiritually, maybe literally. The shadowy, elusive promises of the world and the devil, if indulged in with utter abandon, not only do not satisfy, but could kill us. There is a lethal trap the devil has set for us, suggesting we can have everything, taste everything, play every game, and win, and eat and drink and be merry, and see ultimate rewards. It just isn't true. Verse 11, then I considered all that my hands had done, and the toil that I had expended in doing it, and behold, all was vanity and a striving after wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. I want you to underline or highlight that word, nothing. Solomon thought he had everything, but he had in reality nothing, because God wasn't served God wasn't honored. Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verses 1 through 11.